What's up, Vikings territory? Hold on to your purple and gold, because what I'm about to tell you will shake the foundation of everything you thought you knew about this 2025 season. We're talking about moves that nobody saw coming, decisions that have left the locker room in complete chaos, and developments that could either make or break our championship dreams. Picture this. One moment you're watching your team dominate in preseason, feeling good about the depth chart, thinking maybe this is finally our year. Then bam! Everything changes in the span of 72 hours. We're talking about career-ending moments, shocking releases, and desperate searches for solutions that have the front office scrambling like never before. Here's what's keeping me up at night, Vikings fans. How do you replace lightning in a bottle? How do you fix a puzzle when half the pieces just got thrown out the window? And most importantly, are we witnessing the beginning of something beautiful or the collapse of our Super Bowl hopes before September even arrives? I've got 5 stories that will have you questioning everything about Kevin O'Connell's master plan. We're talking about a player whose dreams got crushed on his very first snap, a former third-round pick who just became a cautionary tale, an old friend who might have been our salvation but slipped through our fingers, potential lifeline scattered across free agency, and a rival team's cast-off who could be our unlikely hero. But before I dive into this emotional roller coaster that is Vikings football right now, I need you to smash that like button if you're ready for the truth. Drop a comment telling me how you're feeling about this chaotic offseason, and buckle up because what happened next will leave you speechless. Let's start with a story that will break your heart and make you question if football is just too cruel sometimes. Saturday night in Minneapolis. The lights are bright, the crowd is buzzing, and there's this electric energy in the air because preseason football is back. You know that feeling when you see a new player in purple and gold for the first time. That hope that maybe, just maybe, this guy is going to be the missing piece to our championship puzzle. Well, Rondale Moore was supposed to be exactly that missing piece. This lightning-fast receiver who had the potential to transform our return game and give Justin Jefferson the kind of support that could make opposing defensive coordinators lose sleep. Moore hadn't played a single regular season snap since week 18 of 2023, spent all of 2024 rehabbing from a devastating knee injury with Atlanta, and finally got his shot at redemption with the Vikings. One snap. That's all it took to shatter everything. Moore fields his first punt as a Viking, cuts along the sideline, takes what looks like a routine tackle, and then, silence. That awful gut-wrenching silence when you know something is terribly wrong. The cart comes out, the medical staff surrounds him, and everyone in US Bank Stadium holds their breath hoping it's just a precaution. But deep down, we all knew. Kevin O'Connell's words after the game said everything. It's one of the most painful things for me as a head coach when I feel that emotion. I make a life out of trying to leave others better than I found them. In that situation, there's nothing I can do, which is the worst feeling as a coach. Season, ending, knee, injury, again. For Moore, this isn't just about football anymore. This is about a man who has spent the last 2 years fighting to prove he belongs in this league, only to have his dreams crushed in the cruelest way possible. 2 consecutive seasons lost to knee injuries. 2 years of his prime gone. But here's what really keeps me up at night, Vikings fans. We're not just talking about losing a player. We're talking about losing depth at a position where we were already walking a tightrope. Jordan Addison is suspended for the first 3 games. Moore is done for the year. Justin Jefferson is still dealing with hamstring issues. Our receiving core just went from thin to absolutely skeletal, and we haven't even reached September yet. We're looking at Jalen Naylor, Lucky Jackson, Ty Felton, and a bunch of hopefuls trying to fill massive shoes in the biggest moments of the season. What does this mean for JJJ? McCarthy's development? How do you build chemistry with receivers when you don't even know who's going to be available? Are we setting up our rookie quarterback for failure before he even gets a real chance to succeed? Tell me in the comments, do you think the Vikings can overcome this devastating blow? Or are we watching our season slip away before it even begins? Because what happened next with our linebacker situation might just be the tipping point. You know that feeling when you invest everything in someone, give them every opportunity to succeed, and they just never quite get there. When you draft a player in the 3rd round and 3 years later you're left wondering what could have been. Meet Brian Asamoa that said, the latest casualty in what's becoming a bloodbath of an offseason for the Minnesota Vikings. Tuesday morning, the Vikings made it official. They're cutting ties with their former third-round pick after 3 seasons of waiting for him to become the player they thought they were getting. Here's what makes this story so painful. Asamoa wasn't just any third-round pick. He was part of that infamous 2022 draft class, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah's first as general manager. You remember that draft, right? The one where we were supposed to be building the foundation of the next Vikings dynasty. 3 years, 191 career snaps. That's it. That's the entire NFL legacy of a player the Vikings invested significant draft capital in. A former Oklahoma standout who was supposed to bring that Big 12 speed and athleticism to our linebacker core, and instead became a cautionary tale about the brutal reality of professional football. But here's what really stings. They didn't even wait for the second preseason game. Think about that for a minute. Usually teams give their former picks every possible chance to prove themselves, especially guys with draft pedigree. Not this time. The Vikings saw everything they needed to see and said, "We're done." This isn't just about Asamoa though. This is about the systematic dismantling of that 2022 draft class. Out of 10 players selected, only 2 remain, Ty Chandler and Jalen Naylor. 8 players gone, 8 investments that didn't pan out, 8 swings and misses in what was supposed to be the foundation of our future. You want to talk about pressure? Blake Cashman, Ivan Pace Jr., Eric Wilson, and rookie Kobe King better be ready because our linebacker depth just took another massive hit. We're not just talking about losing a backup. We're talking about losing organizational depth that takes years to develop. And here's the scariest part. This happened on the same day they put Rondale Moore on IR. 2 position groups getting thinner simultaneously. 2 more holes in a roster that was supposed to be complete enough to make a championship run. What does this say about our scouting? What does this say about our development program? When you consistently can't turn mid-round picks into productive NFL players, you're not just wasting draft capital. You're crippling your ability to build sustainable success. The Vikings are betting everything on their current starters staying healthy because the depth behind them is starting to look like Swiss cheese. 1 injury to Blake Cashman or Ivan Pace Jr. And we're looking at emergency signings and practice squad promotions in crucial moments. Is this the price of trying to compete now versus building for the future? Are we witnessing smart roster management or organizational panic? Drop your thoughts below because this next story about a familiar face might be the most frustrating of all. Sometimes the football gods have a cruel sense of humor. Just when you think you found the perfect solution to your problems, fate steps in and laughs in your face. This is one of those stories that will make every Vikings fan wonder what if for the rest of the season. Remember Tristan Jackson? And of course you do. For 4 years, from 2021 to 2024, this guy was the ultimate Vikings cult hero. Never made it big in the regular season. Just 2 catches for 9 yards in his entire career. But man, did he know how to make Vikings fans believe during training camp and preseason. Every single year, Jackson would show up to training camp looking like the steal of the century. He'd make impossible catches, run perfect routes, and have Vikings Twitter convinced that this was finally going to be his breakout season. He became the poster child for why can't we just give this guy a real shot? Well, Vikings territory, we almost got our answer. Almost. Jackson signed with the Arizona Cardinals this offseason, and when Rondale Moore went down, Vikings fans immediately started fantasizing about a reunion. Here was a guy who knew the system, had chemistry with the organization, and had spent years proving he belonged on an NFL roster. It felt like destiny. Then Tuesday happened. Arizona Cardinals announced they're placing Tristan Jackson on injured reserve with a thumb injury. Not just a minor setback, a legitimate IR stint that rules him out for weeks, maybe months. Our potential salvation gone just like that. The timing couldn't be more brutal. Moore gets hurt on Saturday, we need receiver help desperately, and by Tuesday our most logical option is off the table. It's like the football gods looked at our depth chart and said, you know what would be really funny, but here's what makes this story even more heartbreaking. This might have been Jackson's last real shot. He's 27 years old, has spent most of his career on practice squads, and now he's dealing with an injury that could keep him out during the exact window when teams are making final roster decisions. For a guy who never got a fair shake despite years of proving himself in practice, this injury isn't just a setback, it's potentially career-altering. All those training camp highlights, all those preseason moments that had us believing, and now he's watching from the sidelines while teams like the Vikings desperately search for receiver help. The Cardinals signed Kelly Akarayi to replace him, our undrafted free agent from Mississippi State who had 2 brief stints with Buffalo this offseason. That's how quickly the NFL moves on from your dreams. So now the Vikings are back to square one, except we're running out of squares. Moore is done for the year. Addison is suspended for 3 games. Jefferson is managing a hamstring issue, and our best backup plan just became unavailable due to injury. This is the kind of cruel irony that makes you question if the Vikings are cursed or just incredibly unlucky. How many more setbacks can we absorb before we admit that maybe this season isn't meant to be? But don't lose hope yet, Vikings fans, because the front office isn't sitting idle. Tell me in the comments, would you have wanted Jackson back? Or are you ready to explore bigger moves? Because the next story reveals exactly what options Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah are considering. When your house is on fire, you don't stand around debating paint colors. You grab the hose and start putting out the flames. That's exactly where the Minnesota Vikings find themselves right now, and the options on the table range from desperate to downright fascinating. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Adam Thielen. The hometown hero who spent 8 seasons making Vikings fans fall in love with football all over again. The undrafted wonder who became a Pro Bowler. The clutch performer who gave us some of the greatest moments in franchise history, now wearing Carolina Panther blue and looking like he might be available for the right price. Picture this, Thielen in purple and gold one more time teaching JJJ. McCarthy, the nuances of route running, showing Lucky Jackson and Ty Felton what it means to be a professional, giving us that reliable security blanket that we desperately need for the first 3 games without Jordan Addison. But here's the reality check. Carolina might not be selling yet. They're not ready to admit their season is over before it begins, and trading away their veteran leadership could send the wrong message to their locker room. It's a beautiful dream, but it might have to wait until October when records start telling the real story. So what else is out there? The free agency market is still breathing, and some of these names might surprise you. Gabe Davis, who terrorized AFC East defenses for years with Buffalo. Nelson Agholor, the veteran who knows how to contribute in big moments. Tyler Boyd, the slot specialist who could give us exactly what we need underneath while Jefferson commands double teams outside. And then there's the nuclear option. Hey, Odell Beckham Jr. Can you imagine OBJ in a Vikings uniform? The talent is undeniable, but are we ready for that kind of spotlight and potential drama in a locker room that's been built on team-first mentality? But wait, there's more. What about exploring the trade market for someone like Trey Palmer from Tampa Bay, or diving deep into that Texans receiving room where John Mechie 3 might be available? Houston's depth chart is so loaded that a former second-round pick could be expendable, and maybe a change of scenery is exactly what both parties need. Here's what's keeping Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah up at night. Do you make a move now and potentially overpay for immediate help? Or do you wait until roster cutdowns on August 27th when dozens of receivers will hit the waiver wire? The smart money says patience, but patience is a luxury you can't afford when your rookie quarterback needs weapons and your championship window might only be open for so long. Every day you wait is another day of missed chemistry, another day of uncertainty, another day closer to September 8th when the games start counting for real. The Vikings are walking a tightrope between desperation and calculation. Make the wrong move, and you're stuck with an expensive veteran who doesn't fit your system. Make no move at all, and you're asking Justin Jefferson to carry an impossibly heavy load while inexperienced receivers learn on the job. What would you do if you were running this team? Go big and trade for a proven commodity, sign a veteran free agent, or trust the young guys to step up when it matters most? Because believe it or not, there might be an answer sitting right in our division rivals' locker room. Sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected places. And sometimes, Vikings fans, your division rivals' trash might just be your treasure. Let me tell you about a 3-time Super Bowl champion who could solve all our receiver problems. And you're going to hate where he's currently wearing green and gold. Mecole Hardman, is sitting in Green Bay right now, probably packing his bags after one of the worst preseason performances in recent memory. We're talking about a masterclass in how to torpedo your roster spot in one game. Dropped passes, muffed punts, and a decision to field a punt inside the 5-yard line that had Packers coaches questioning everything they thought they knew about him. But here's what Matt LaFleur and his staff might be forgetting. This is the same Mecole Hardman who caught game-winning touchdowns in the Super Bowl. The same speedster who helped Patrick Mahomes terrorize the AFC West for years. The same explosive weapon who has championship experience that none of our current receiver room can match. Sure, his numbers last season were underwhelming, 12 catches for 90 yards. But context matters. He was buried in Kansas City's loaded offense, fighting for scraps behind Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill's replacement, and a deep receiving core. Put him in Minnesota, where we desperately need someone who can stretch the field and create separation, and those numbers could tell a completely different story. Think about what Hardman brings that our current group doesn't. Legitimate 4.3 speed that can take the top off any defense, championship pedigree that could calm nerves in crucial moments, and the kind of veteran presence that could accelerate the development of our younger receivers. But here's the beautiful irony. Green Bay might cut him loose just as we need him most. They're reportedly moving him down their depth chart, and with roster cuts looming in 2 weeks, the Packers could be doing us the biggest favor in franchise history by making Hardman available. Imagine this scenario. Hardman signs with Minnesota, starts the season as a WR3 while Addison serves his suspension, and suddenly JJ. McCarthy has a legitimate deep threat to complement Jefferson's route running mastery and Naylor's possession skills. We go from having maybe the thinnest receiver room in the NFL to having actual depth and experience. The risk is obvious. One bad preseason game doesn't erase years of production, but it does raise questions about where his head is at. Are we looking at a motivated veteran eager to prove his doubters wrong, or a player whose best days are behind him? But here's what I keep coming back to. Championship experience matters. When the lights get bright and the pressure mounts, do you want Lucky Jackson and Ty Felton making crucial catches? Or do you want a guy who's been there before? Who knows what it takes to win when everything is on the line? The Vikings could be looking at the steal of the century if they can pry Hardman away from Green Bay. A proven commodity at a position of desperate need, available for minimal cost because another team couldn't see past one bad performance. This is where championship dreams are made or broken Vikings territory. We've watched injuries decimate our depth, seen promising reunions fall apart, and explored expensive free agency options that might not even be available. But sometimes, the perfect solution is hiding in plain sight, wearing the wrong colors and waiting for someone to believe in them again. The next few weeks will define our season. We can roll the dice on inexperienced youth, overpay for aging veterans, or take a calculated risk on a proven winner who just needs the right opportunity. What happens next could determine whether we're talking about a Super Bowl run or another year of what ifs. So here's my challenge to you. Hit that like button if you think the Vikings should take a chance on Hardman. Drop a comment with your preferred solution to our receiver crisis, and make sure you subscribe because this story is far from over. The regular season is coming fast, and every decision matters now more than ever. Vikings territory. This is just the beginning. Are you ready for what comes next?